CJLX 91.3 FM, Belleville.
It's a freezing minus 15 and sunny. Today a high of minus 11. Tonight a low of minus 18. Friday a high of minus 8. I'm Matthew Burns. The Quinte Today Midday Edition on 91X starts now. Prince Edward County Council has a lot more to think about wind turbines after yesterday's special meeting. Representatives from the Ministries of Environment and Natural Resources as well as Hydro One made presentations at the meeting. The public wasn't allowed to comment, but Don Chisholm of Wapoos says that was okay.
There's been a lot of consultation with the area. In September we had a very long, about a 6-hour session where everybody could make inputs and certainly ask a lot of good questions, and I don't think there was much more that the audience could have added to this one.
Another of the 40 people in the audience was energy and environmental consultant Susan Holtz of Bloomfield, who liked what she heard.
Coordinated approach that's being used now on renewable energy is quite remarkable, in my opinion, for government departmental cooperation. It greatly simplifies what used to be an extremely complicated and confusing process.
The meeting was meant to be for information only and included discussions of application requirements set by the various ministries and Hydro One. There are proposals for some 200 wind turbines in Prince Edward, and Council wanted to know how and what controls could be placed on their location. Belleville City Council approved the Atlas Corporation to design and build the new $35 million multiplex recreation center. Atlas was the lowest of 3 final proposals to come in just under $28 million, and city staff and council seem confident Atlas presents the best value for the proposal. But $35 million is a lot of money. Where is it coming from? Councillor Bob Dolan says that 1/3 will come from the federal government, 1/3 from the municipal, and 1 from the provincial. Construction starts at the end of winter. A 16-year-old boy convicted yesterday of murdering his own mother will be in court again in March for a pre-sentence report, results of a psychiatric evaluation, and sentencing submissions. The Crown could seek to have the boy sentenced as an adult, but the boy's defense lawyer, Howard Goldkind, said outside a Peterborough courthouse yesterday he is planning to appeal the first-degree murder verdict.
I think it's perverse. I think there's been a miscarriage of justice. There is no way that this boy did what he's alleged to have done by himself. Not in a million years. If this jury can sleep tonight with the decision they've made, good luck to them.
The boy was 14 when he was charged with murdering his mother, a 33-year-old Michelle Bernosky of Warkworth, and burying the body in their backyard. She was shot 7 times in the head, once in the neck, and bones in both her arms were broken. The family still has the trial of the boy's common-law uncle to face in January. Marmora Township firefighters have been at the scene of a house fire in Deloro for the past 2 hours. They were called to an O'Brien Street address in Deloro and found the house fully involved when they arrived. Marmora firefighters called in for tanker support from Sterling Rod Fire Service. It's believed nobody was at home when the fire broke out a little after 10 today. No injuries have been reported. Every torchbearer you'll see will be wearing the same thing, the same tracksuit, the same hat, and the same red Olympic mitts. The Hudson's Bay Company carries the mitts, but you may not be able to buy them in time for Christmas. Jordana Springay tells us why.
You've seen them everywhere, in newspapers, on television, and even our Olympic athletes are wearing them. But good luck getting your hands into a pair of the famous red Olympic mitts. Krista Berryhill, a manager at the local Zellers, says the mitts are selling like hotcakes.
They are selling phenomenally, and we get them in literally every other day, and they come in, I can tell you now, about 10 to 12 boxes. We've had people on waiting lists, right? So then we give them a 12-hour window, and they don't wait, they're down right away.
Berryhill says they've sold well over 100,000 pairs of mitts in Belleville alone. If you're looking for a pair of mitts, your best bet is to get to the store early and get your name on the waiting list. And while you're at it, put yourself down for a toque as well.
We got in toques, actually. I will say we got in toques, and they're in black, white, and red, and they say Canada on them. They're just as popular right now, too.
For 91X News, I'm Jordana Springay.
The cops have been telling you for weeks, lock it or lose it. Well, overnight yesterday, 7 vehicles in Belleville were entered, most of them unlocked, and the owners lost lots of stuff. The stolen merchandise includes a Garmin GPS, credit cards, cash, 2 pairs of sunglasses, hockey equipment, and even a handicap parking permit. While some people can't wait to get out of school, others, however, break into school. At least that was the case Wednesday morning at Nicholson Catholic College on Church Street. Police say entry was gained Tuesday night to one of the school's portables. There was minor damage, however, nothing was taken. A big increase in gas prices was the major factor behind the inflation rate jumping to 1% in November, up from 0.1% in October. Prices at the pump shot up 14.1% from a year ago. Reporter Don Kelly from the Canadian Press looks at what else costs more.
We paid 7.8% more for car insurance and 3.2% more for health and personal care items last month. Food prices rose 1.7%, led by an almost 5.5% increase in the price of fish and seafood and a 2.1% increase for dairy products and eggs. But prices fell more than 5.5% for fresh fruit and fresh vegetables.
The core inflation rate, which the Bank of Canada tracks because it represents underlying inflation pressures, was actually lower in November. The Toronto Dominion Bank says the Canadian economy is ready to start creating jobs. It predicts 280,000 will be created next year. The estimate is part of the bank's newest forecast for the world and Canadian economies. It shows growth has begun after about a year of contraction. The bank has employment rising in each quarter next year and into 2011, with the jobless rate returning to 7.3% in quarter 4 of 2011. It currently stands at 8.5%. Changes are coming to the family court system in Ontario. Attorney General Chris Bentley says the changes will make divorce proceedings faster, less expensive, and less combative. Bentley says the changes seek to make the process as easy as possible for families.
This will mean a much faster and clearer way for you to resolve disputes. It'll mean you're going to get a lot more support early on rather than months and months and months into the court process. You're going to get the support up front early on, so you have a better idea of what it looks like depending on the decisions you make.
The changes won't involve any new funds. Hillary Clinton is pledging Washington will join other rich countries in raising $100 billion in yearly global warming financing for poor countries by 2020. The American Secretary of State made the pledge at the UN Climate Conference in Copenhagen. Clinton says the financing, though, is contingent on world leaders reaching a deal in Denmark.
The important point for the next 2 days is not to talk about how we would fund money that we haven't yet agreed to fund, but to make the agreement that that is what we're going to do.
Talks have been deadlocked over disputes between rich and poor countries over emissions cuts and financing. Holy priceless collection of comic books, Batman. A former University of Western Ontario math professor is donating much of his 10,000 plus comic book collection to the university. It's believed to be the largest and most valuable collection of such material ever given to a Canadian school. Eddie Smet says he's been collecting comics for more than 40 years, and giving up his collection is like cutting off his own arms. Gary Mood, owner of the London comic book shop LA Mood, appraises Smet's collection at about $100,000. The business news and Quinte weather right after this. Quinte weather, today it's going to be a cold one with a high of -11. Tonight, cloudy and a freezing low of -18. Friday, there'll be some sun and some cloud along with a high of -8. Right now, it's -15. I'm Matthew Burns with Kevin Martindale. Like to be a part of the 91X News team? If you see a story, phone 91X News at 613-966-6797 or use your smartphone or BlackBerry and send a picture to news@91x.fm. 91X News on the air and online. News is next at 2.
This is Quinte's